Okay, so we're going to start our new project today. We are going to create our own restaurant ideas as if we were going to make our own restaurant. And one of the first things you need is a good sign or a good logo to go with your company. So as you can see here, using Microsoft Word, I've created really a simple logo that it still looks pretty nice, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really easy. So let me go ahead and open up my new Microsoft Word document that I opened up here. So it's a brand new Microsoft Word document. You're going to go to Page Layout and change the orientation. Let's set our margins to narrow. And the first thing we're going to do is just go and find some clip art. And we're going to stick within clip art. We're not going to go on the internet and find any images, but we're going to stick in the clip art and find, you can just search and find any images that you want to use in your logo. So I'm going to search steak because I'm making a steakhouse. And there's some cool pictures of steak here that I could use. I'm going to use this one. Let me resize it by dragging the corners. And you can see that I can't move it around yet because I need to put it in front of the text so I can easily move around. So I'm going to go to Wrap Text, in front of the text. Let me just move it here to about the center. Now I'm going to insert a text box. Oops. And you can see my text box has the line around it. We don't want any outline, and you can't tell, but right now it has a white background. So let's go to the shape fill and make sure it has no fill here, and I'm going to call this Alexander's. Oops. Come on. Alright. Let's get this up pretty big. And you're going to choose the font that you want to use. I'm using Century Gothic. You want to make sure that it's something that's easy to read. Remember, this is if you were driving down the road, you want people to be able to easily read your logo and identify your company. So I'm going to make my font a little bit bigger. So Alexander's. Enter. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this in another text box in case I want to move it around a little bit, and I don't. So instead of going up and creating a new text box, inserting a new text box, and then getting rid of the background and getting rid of the outline, we're just going to right click on the edge, copy, paste it, move it down, and then I'm going to reduce the font. And then I can change it to what I want it to say. Steak and seafood bistro. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I want the name Alexander's to really stand out. Right? And here's a trick. This is all things that you already know. This is something new. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to show you how to do this. If you highlight your text and right click, you'll see this font option here. If you click on it, that'll open your font menu, your font tools. If you click on advanced, there's this spacing here. We want to expand the spacing. I want to put more spacing between my letters, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So I'm going to click expand, and I'm going to expand it. I'm going to add more spacing. I'm just going to guess and go about 3. Okay, so I've spaced it out about 3, and maybe it might look better with some more spacing. So I'm going to do the same thing. Right click, font. Let's go up to 4. There, it's almost balanced, right? So if I wanted to have it just perfect, I could go and add a little bit more. I think it looks okay. Maybe I'll add a little spacing to this one. There we go. Maybe make my picture a little bit smaller. And here's a trick. If you want to move everything into the center, see my logo and everything's not really centered right now. I can click on it and hold the shift key down, and that's going to allow me to select more things. Right? And then I can move my arrow keys to get it just perfect, or I can drag. I have to hold the shift down when I click on it to grab it. So maybe that's more centered. Okay. Guys, another thing that you could do if you wanted to play with the letter design, let me just copy this and we'll paste it up here. And maybe you had Stevens Steakhouse. I'm going to cut this out. Here. Let me make this again. So copy, paste. Now I have two text boxes. I'm going to delete the rest of this and make this S really big. I'm going to delete my S here, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Stevens, make this S even bigger. Let me copy this one. That's right. We don't want that to be a capital. Okay, I'm not saying this looks the best, but that's just an idea if you want to play with making one letter bigger than the others to represent your logo. Okay. All right. So using your clip art and using text boxes, and remember you have all kinds of cool fonts in here that you can use. So go through it, find the best font. There's lots of Chinese fonts in here if you want to do a Chinese restaurant. But one thing to remember, if you never eat Chinese food and you have no idea what type of items go on the menu, you probably don't want to choose a Chinese restaurant. Okay. Here, if you're doing the steak restaurant, well, what types of different steaks are there? There's New York strip, ribeye, filet mignon, all kinds of different. You should know the different things that are on a steakhouse. So we're going to do, before we get into this point, we'll have researched a little bit of the different restaurants. But when you actually make your choice, don't just say, oh, this is a cool picture, I'm going to make a seafood restaurant, if you don't know anything about seafood. Okay. Or don't say, oh, look at this cool Chinese font, I want to make a Chinese restaurant just to use that font, when you don't know anything about Chinese food. Okay. So yeah, that's a good start. I think it's pretty easy.